Good evening. It's Friday night, and it's me, Phil Oldershaw, here with James Forrester for Real, Random, and Raw. Back with you once more. Tonight, we've got a great night for you. We've got a very special guest. This is a man about town, in fact, more than one town. We're talking lots of towns. This man certainly knows business and how to mingle. But before we bring him on this evening, let me welcome my co-hosts for each and every Friday for Real, Random and Raw from Barrows and Forrester. It's James Forrester in the house. Good evening, James.
Good evening, Phil. How are you doing?
I'm great, mate. How are you?
I'm all right. I've managed to get my office eventually finished virtually behind me. So I've changed it around this week. So rather than looking at the blinds and advertising the local blind company here, I've decided to make it a bit more personal.
But what gorgeous blinds you have. Well, look, it's great to have a whole new change. What's the picture in the background?
Which one?
I love it when I love these, these Zooms and Teams meetings when you see into people's homes. So I can look it in your background. What's the picture on the wall?
So this one's quite a special one to me. So,
there's a tablecloth right behind you, isn't there?
Listen, we'll cut you off in a second. So this is a picture of St James's Park and Strawberry Place. It's a limited edition print, but actually this will all disappear because they're building now right here. So that view will never be seen again on the print.
Wow.
Courtesy of my mum and dad.
There you are. Who is that football kit? I think we mentioned that last week. Was it Albion?
Yeah, no. So that's the beloved Newcastle United. As I was told today that I'm colourblind, I said I don't really care because all I need to know is black and white. But they're shades. But as long as they're the right colours behind me, that's all that matters.
Well, I think we've both gone for a change this evening, James. What do you think?
What is it?
Can you not say it's my mandala? Look, it's an elephant.
What is that? What you put around your head, like when you want to act like all American or like beefy or what?
Yeah, it's when I've jumped out the shower and I wear it like a wrap. Flick it over like your mum used to back in the day.
Very spiritual. Let's put it that way.
Well, look, I've got me. If we need to do any crystal ball action,
I don't know. Because he has no idea what we're going to be mentioning or asking him tonight.
The comical thing there is the only thing you couldn't see is the elephant that he's pointing out. It's right behind you.
It comes to something when I'm blocking out the picture of an elephant. I know during lockdown. Right, look, I think this is a great opportunity to welcome our guests this evening to Real, Random and Raw, joining James and I. Let's make some noise for the one and only Peter Higgs from B&I. Woo-hoo! Peter Higgs in the house. Evening, Peter.
Evening. How are you?
Yeah, great, mate. It's good to see you. It's nice to see that you've gone for the jacket as well.
Yeah, I thought I'd make an effort for you guys.
Jacket, waistcoat, and shirt. I don't think I've ever known you in anything else, really, when I've seen you out and about. But that's been so long as well.
Yeah, I was going to say that's been a while, hasn't it? So.
Yeah, distant memory. I might be getting older, but the memory's still good, I recall. So, look, it's great to have you here tonight. We've got a load of questions that we want to throw to you in our very real, random and raw way. James is normally the naughty one. I'll try and keep us online, but he will go for the cutting questions.
Okay. This sounds fun.
Yeah. But how's the week? How's your week been, James? Much going on this week? How's the housing market?
It's still being built. Well, look, we're all waiting for this stamp duty deadline to be extended. It's amazing. It's the most talked about topic still going on. I think it's going to get extended for 6 weeks from all the reports that are coming out, just to allow all the completions that are getting backlogged because many conveyancers can't do their job quickly and efficiently enough. But apart from that, it's okay. I think there's a slowdown. People are a bit, they are, like I said last week, they're a bit nervous in the market. They want to know what's going on. But there's a lot of good news coming out now. It's all about getting out. The lockdown's going to be lifted, jab and go. It's all there, isn't it? It's getting exciting. So there's a lot of people that have been hurt during this, but there's also a lot of people who have saved a lot of money during this as well. And I think coming out of this, we will see that really benefit. So this week, lettings has picked up really well. What I don't talk a lot about is my other company, my development company, because we actually do build houses as well. I don't talk about it a lot because people then think I'm bragging. And they want me to buy ridiculous pictures that are really expensive, ridiculously priced pictures. Well, I big the prices up, let's put it that way, but great for a great cause, I can say that. I know. We've just launched our first Birmingham project last week, so we are officially going to be building 4 luxury apartments in St Paul Square. Right in the heart of Birmingham, so very excited to get that one off the ground. And today I've just had confirmation of 12 houses that we will be building in Lichfield as well. So Mr. Forrester is and my business partner, Mr. Barrows, is definitely arriving to build some houses down here in the West Mids.
Beautiful. I was reading about kitchens and the whole. Oh yeah, good evening. I've gone for a cheeky Jameson this evening. What are you drinking, Peter?
Guinness.
On the
Guinness. Nice and early.
I hope you've got more than one for tonight.
Yeah, I just got a couple just in case, I
was going to say, the thing is, can you do your own clover in the top of it? But
not that clever.
Yeah, I was reading, James, articles to do with kitchens and how these new fit outs. It's all about streamline. I know we've been streamlining kitchens, but gadgets and things. Do you know much about that?
Yeah, it's a bit of a talked subject. It's come across my desk quite a bit, saying kitchens. I think they've all. I bought this house based on actually the kitchen, and it's always one of the talked places, isn't it? You walk into a house, people want to see the kitchen, the entertaining area. Yeah. But it's interesting. The pictures I saw today were basically of like mini, Michelin star kitchens, and I'm thinking, bloody hell, we would still want to go out. We're all going to be able to go out at one point, don't it, to enter in the house? But it's all going to be about gadgets, latest tech. I'm just thinking, just employ a personal chef. Just get the kitchen you want and get a personal chef in. Get a nanny or whatever. I don't care. But it's looking futuristic. I think don't take away the personality of your kitchen. You want it to represent you as a person when you're in there, rather than trying to create a restaurant in your own house, unless you're in that field.
Oh, that sounds very apt for me here. Create my personality, because I've got this open larder that looks.
You can have Phil's kitchen. I've been watching you online doing all your poking around your shelves and cooking some wonderful and weird things.
I love to cook. I am actually a trained chef, but I never took it up for a living. But even Akhtar messaged me and he was like, Phil, I really enjoy watching you when you're doing a bit of cooking at home. He says, I find it really entertaining. He says, it's actually quite funny. I said, are you laughing at my food?
But Peter, let's get him straight into this, actually. Who does the cooking in your household?
Me, actually. Yeah, my wife's a trained chef as well. And I still do most of the cooking. So
yeah, it's therapeutic, isn't it?
There you go. I've got no home to go home to now, but no, we do share it. The kids do a bit. So I went vegetarian just over 12 months ago, about 14 months ago, and my wife's vegan. So actually kind of enjoying our cooking. So it sounds strange, but one of the reasons I went for it is I just wasn't. The food was becoming quite bland. So now actually I do more of the cooking, and the kids who eat meat actually say, well, can I have some of yours? So I cook for about 6 people, and I'm lucky if I get one portion for myself. So yeah, that's usually me.
Is that Georgia by any chance you were talking about?
Yeah, I was going to say that's my daughter online laughing, as if to say. Yeah, there you go. Look, dinner's in the bin. Thanks, Ben.
Now, look, the good thing, obviously, about the area that you control, you've got a choice of takeaway restaurants to order from. I'm sure would love to get your business tonight anyway, so it'll be quite interesting.
100%, and we do those. The difficulty we've got is we're just outside area, so in terms of them delivering kind of all the way up to us, but we had a collection. Will very kindly came all the way out to us because we're all Brighton in Shropshire, and Will kindly came all the way out to us, and we've been obviously when we're in the middle of all of this and we're allowed to go out to restaurants, we went to the others.
When you say Will at Chung Ying?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
The other Will. Everybody says Will all the time, and it's got to be Will at
Sorry, I was going to say it's got to be Will. Yeah, there's only one famous Will.
Fantastic. That's worth the journey for. So Peter, look, we've got you here. We'll be talking a bit of what's going on in the news, bit of current affairs. But look, let's talk BNI to start with. For those that are tuned in right now, if there is anybody on the planet that doesn't know what BNI is, just give us a synopsis of what BNI is and what your role is really within the BNI chapter or chapters you have.
Yeah, that's really odd actually, because I'd never heard of BNI. So I came out of corporate world wanting to kind of help, like, start a local business, help small businesses and stay local to be with my family. And I found BNI. I just wanted to get out there networking. I went to the opening of an envelope if somebody let me, and as you do. And I kind of and I found BNI almost by accident. So actually, there's an awful lot of people out there don't know about it. And there's also misconceptions, because I had a conversation with somebody recently who picked up some very large contracts, and somebody said, "But that's only for small businesses, isn't it?" And it's not. So essentially, it stands for Business Network International. It was founded 36 years ago by a gentleman called Ivan Meisner, a lovely gentleman, Dr. Ivan Meisner now, who just wanted to grow his business and saw the connections as the way to do it, and says, guys, if we just help each other, we could be better together if we collaborate than alone. And before you know it, that spread across California. Was in the States for a few years, went to Canada, and then the UK were the next country to start BNI. So that was 22 years ago. So yeah, we're just networking groups there to help each other. The difference, I suppose, we only allow one category per profession, so it doesn't cause any conflict, and that's quite different to some of the networking you may go to. But there's lots of networks out there. I work with lots of them, and like I say, we're stronger together in every sense.
Yeah, I love that. How many is it you've got within your remit now?
28 groups now. 28 groups across the Midlands, and there's another 4 underway. And
are they like franchises, Peter, or?
So the areas are franchises. So I own the West Midlands area. So the Birmingham and Coventry was one franchise. The Black Country was another. So I bought the 2 franchises, and that represents Midlands. So the executive director, which is the title I give you for owning a franchise, is me. And then the chapters, as they call them, the groups, are all owned within our region, and we run those with a team of directors.
I love that. Why the word chapters? Because it does.
That's so much. So we were at a convention a few years ago in America, and somebody said to Ivan, it's so American, and he asked the Americans, says, has anybody heard of the word chapter in America? And I said, no, it's not an American word either. It's just chapters. And I think in some respects it came from the what's that secret handshake one? The
Masons.
Masons, that kind of thing. I mean, they have chapters as well, don't they? So yes. Maybe that's where it started. But it wasn't an Americanism as such. It was just an odd way of calling them chapters instead of groups.
But actually, to say Americanism, because Americans are very good at talking about themselves, talking about what they've got, talking out. And one of the things I learned when I went to a BNI is they very much put you on the spot to be able to speak about your business, which I thought was great, because obviously I'm not afraid of a microphone either. But it's a great way to get your business out there. So I can see why it works. It's almost like you're forced into networking, but in a really sort of family style. It's business. It's like a business.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing I love about it was just, I went to a group the first time I visited. It wasn't the best experience of my life, I have to say. It was just over 8 years ago, and it was very structured, which is great. But actually, I didn't feel it. But now you walk into one of the BNI, and obviously the fun and the banter we have. I have this kind of philosophy of start with health. You look after yourself, your family next, because you can't look after your own health. You can't look after your family. Have fun. And the business is the last thing. So even in BNI, I want that to go in the right order. You try and change the order around, and you'll mess up the rest of your life. So I think the fun factor is the thing that's changed massively over the last few years. We absolutely enjoy each other's company, and you know what? You just want to do business with people then.
Do we?
And when you talk about
usually at your expense, James, but we do. Yeah.
When you talk about scale and the types of businesses? I know you said you only allow one from each area, but what sort of scale of businesses do you have in there, Peter? So, you know, what would be the smallest type of business you've got, and then what would be one of the larger style businesses that take part? Just giving that, you know. That
yeah, I mean, across the country, there's some multinationals have jumped in. You know, so we've got the restaurants. You've got Lost and Found and Picture and Piano. We're in. So you've got the venues kind of thing that are from very large corporate groups. And you've got, like you say, one-man bands. You've got people with 10 or 20 employees, 50 and 100. I always say, look, any business can join, but actually it's not right for every person. It's people buy from people. There's business out there and connections out there for anybody you want. You know, you use that 6 degrees of separation. There's so many names that you could throw out, if you like, that we've connected to, that you would go, oh my God, how do they know them? But, you know, people go to school, used to work with, you know, all different walks of life. So I love it. I you know, get a new story every few months of somebody that they've connected to, and they go, wow. So I think that's the beauty of it as well. You know, don't judge a book by its cover. You never know who knows who.
And somebody said to me that they only take place in the morning. Is that right? You have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning.
It used to be fair to those people, but no, we have an early morning start, and the idea before was networking was almost peripheral to the day, but it's an integral part of your business if you're going to grow. So no, we have 10 a.m. groups, we have midday groups, or early morning, so they're spread across the day in that respect. We haven't yet started the evening groups. That's been asked for a few times, but but it's a lot of. James is like, yes, I love that. I think it's the commitment, because we meet every week. We know without fail, it's kind of put that time aside, and that's my fear of that. I suppose it's maybe me stopping it, is that interrupts family time, and I wouldn't want to do that. So be interesting to feedback if anybody's on whether they would go to evening networking.
Well, I'll just jump right in here now, and I'll just volunteer to absolutely run the Friday evening B&I club. That's not
how much? Well, actually, they say you get a lot of business done on the golf course. So I'd imagine you might get more done over a drink or two.
You know what? I mean, there's you and Jimmy, the first two members of the Friday evening group. So sorted. Do you know what? I might even join myself if you know, if you're doing that. So
well, let's put it this way: if your dinner's in the bin, which obviously we're being told they're publicly, then you may as well.
Yeah. Yeah, why not?
Yeah, I can do anything. Yeah,
the every week commitment for BNI versus, you know, I go to groups on the evening and different networking in the city, but they're not every single week. They're just as and when, and you can duck in and out. Whereas it's a lot more commitment when you're doing it weekly.
And then the sort of places where you hold them, Peter, they're quite varied, aren't they?
Yeah, every sort of venues, from you know, a hall to restaurants, hotels, etc. So anywhere that will house enough people that can see each other and have the space, we're happy to talk to and work with, really.
So James, what's your thoughts on BNI? Are you involved?
I am indeed, yes.
How's it work for you?
Friday afternoon group, yeah.
Yeah, so we have the best chapter in the West Midlands, regardless what recent stats may say. If you take our thank you for the business and put it as a collective, we are basically the best performing chapter. But yeah, look, you know, I think, you know, I'm not here because Pete's on the call and I'm going to kiss his arse about BNI. I absolutely hated it when I first started, funny enough. And didn't like it, didn't really get it, is the honest answer. Went into a room and, you know, full of strangers, and I don't like networking. I love to do deals. I'm all about the deal bit. The bit at the beginning I can't really be that fussed about, or I used to, and I think that's the bit that made me come out my comfort zone to say, well, actually, to get to the deal point, I've actually got to put a little bit of work in at the beginning to do it. And throughout the journey now, I think I'm chapter at the moment, which I'm thoroughly enjoying. I've just become a chapter ambassador as well, which came after. This is for someone who hated BNI 2 years ago, and I've sort of walked along all this way. And I really like helping other businesses, you know, as much as I can as well, but only if they want to listen. You know, it's you can't help everybody if they don't want to. But look, you get business, you get what you put in. So for the investment that you put in, as in cash, and then your time-wise, then you do get it back out, and it beats any other form of advertising. And I'm not just saying this to have a big up on B&I tonight. But networking is like that, you know. And even now we're not face to face and we are over Zoom calls, then, you know, we're still getting all the business. Like my chapter, well, not my chapter, but the Sunrise chapter I'm proud to lead, you know, we generated £3.3 million in the last 12 months of invoice business. You tell me anywhere else that could be getting done. So look, I'm enjoying it. I like it. I don't think it's for everyone. You know, I'm quite blunt on this. I think there is people that will join it and all be about take. It doesn't work like that. You've got to be prepared to open up your black book and, you know, share your contacts and help people as much as they're prepared to help you. And look, you meet some good friends along the way and have some good drinks and stuff like that. I'm still going to be the one that, if a lot of B&I people are watching this tonight, I still agree, or I think we need more than one drink token in Green Club. I think that's all tonight's all about. Get live on Facebook and we can all go at him and no more one drink token. We need more than one drink token.
Phil, I don't think you need me on this call, to be fair. I don't need to say any more, do I?
Peter, I think this is a great opportunity for you to say that the rents are going up for each one.
Yeah, we have a good, monthly we get together. We call it Green Club. It's like a traffic light system for those that give the most to others. We invite them in once a month to meet everybody else across the region that does it. And I started this 8 years ago in our region. It's now kind of a global thing. It's brilliant. It's really got traction, but we have so much fun. And it'd be interesting, actually, for some of our members to go to other regions and go to theirs. They have a coffee and a sit down and things like that. And we're like, nah, that just wouldn't.
Yeah. I think I actually, in fact, James was probably to blame. I think I actually gate crashed one of yours once at the picture.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah,
but I didn't touch the food, but it looked divine. You put a nice spread on and things for people, and amazed at how many faces I knew there. You know, a lot of the movers and shakers of the business community, which is just great, because when you do a lot of business within the city and you move around a lot, it's great to be able to see a lot of familiar faces. And one of the things that you mentioned prior was you only allow one company from each category of business. So I guess whether you've got 30, 40, 50 people in a group, you've then got all of these businesses promoting your company. Is that how it works?
Yeah. It's the idea is you just don't want conflict. If two people do similar things, the same things, then you're like, who do I give it to? And I'll upset the other one. So we just take that away. And that's why there's so many different groups, and you can use the region as well. But yeah, it's there's hundreds of categories to go at in business. You'd be amazed how eclectic some of the businesses are. And you know, they still get businesses. It's just been kind of focused on knowing what you want. And like James said, you get out what you put in. You know, in terms of effort, as in most things in life, put the effort in and know where you're going. You'll do really well out of this.
Yeah, well, that's definitely like having your own business, isn't it? So it's exactly the same thing.
Yeah, just don't go for that scattergun approach. That's the thing. James, you've just cost me a couple of £1,000 every month. two tokens. You don't realise how costly it is with the amount of people that come to Green Club.
I know, but I think that's the best way for everyone to get to know each other more, because the more they drink, the more they start talking to everybody as well. So they get around a lot quicker. Especially the venues will appreciate it, I can assure you.
Yeah, no, I said to all the venues, as soon as you open, just book the first day out for BNI. We'll fill it for you. It's we're absolutely dying to get back.
So just looking at the news, I know we touched on this last week. I'm not sure if you saw last week's, but it's currently in the news. Kate and the other one. No, it's not Kate, is it? Which one is it?
Harry and Harry. So you're talking about Harry. Look, my dog's
Harry and Meghan. I was going to say Kate. Yeah. Harry and Meghan. That's how current it is in the news. Harry and Meghan, who wanted to step out of the limelight, they stepped down from their royal duties to head off over to Canada, I think it was initially. Yeah. And now all of a sudden they're doing Oprah, which isn't Oprah. Oprah, which isn't a big show in America or across the globe. And they're doing lots of statements and news releases. So what's your take on that, about them having this quiet life away from the media, and then all of a sudden they're doing TV shows and everything else?
It's very hard to know what's going on in their heads as to what's causing this. I'm a royalist. I love the royal family, but I just think what they've done to almost turn their back on that and say it's about the publicity, it's about the we want a quiet life, and then go on something like Oprah. You can't have your cake and eat it. It's not fair, and I think they're using people and their system effectively to suit them. So I think there's clearly something else gone on, and we're all not privy to all the details.
What about you, Jack? What do you think, James? You've always got an opinion on this.
Really? I'm very proud to be British. I wouldn't say I'm a royalist, but let's put it this way. They moved out of the UK because of privacy. They've ended up moving now to one of the celebrity capital places to go to then decide to announce to the world about another baby, to go on Oprah. I was going to say, I've followed the trend. Oprah, which no one's heard of or seen that show in the world. It's one of the biggest talk shows in the world. Maybe not as big as Real Random and Raw, but it's getting there.
You've won a car. You've won a car. You've won a car.
and then they sold out to Netflix or whatever it was and Spotify, and you just think, whatever you're saying, it's completely opposite. And I just think, do they need a rain check and they need to be, if you look at the brother, as in William and Kate, they seem to have it spot on for what their jobs are supposed to do, and it's a bit like saving the planet. This week I've heard a lot about electric cars, obviously, I think Bill Gates has got his new book out about, getting carbon emissions down to zero and using all the technology. And that's one thing that Harry and Meghan are really keen on promoting. And I really like that when they've just flown to tell you this in about a £50 million private jet. I pay full attention to it, to be honest.
Yeah, there seems to be a lot of people talking about going green and bringing down the carbon footprint, and then they're flying all over the world. Prince Charles done exactly the same, didn't he? And then he flew off to the other side of the world to be able to talk about it in his private plane.
So what do you think about the new electric car speedway that they're doing? Have you seen that one with Jensen Button's doing it and a few others? Full electric car rally racing, and they're doing it in places around the world that are highlighting issues for deforestation and things like that. But again, they're taking the jets and the boats all the way around the world to show you. So that.
It's one of them, isn't it? Where it's a great idea, as in to get the awareness, but like you said, it's the whole weirdness of to get there, you've got to actually spend all this money and do the opposite of what you're promoting. But that's the way it's got to be done, isn't it? You need to put the famous faces in the right places, and you also need the right, the entertainment to do it. And unfortunately, you've got to get it there somehow. It was a bit like when Greta decided to sail to America to show everyone that it could be done, but then she was drinking water out of a plastic bottle.
Yeah. Well, I noticed when we were talking before, and you were like, get back into the hospitality venues, and then Jamil put, we need to support hospitality, which goes straight on to my next piece. I was doing a couple of news reviews, one on Free Radio this week, and it was about the 40 MPs that were telling the Chancellor and the Prime Minister that they need to act now. Otherwise, we could see the extinction of UK nightlife and hospitality. And it was really interesting, actually. It was saying that they had done a survey and spoken to 20,000 businesses, from consumers to employers to employees to freelancers. And 85% said that the nighttime staff working in nighttime economy are considering leaving. 78% of all employers in the sector had at some point been on furlough. In the second half of 2020, business in the nighttime economy traded at an average of 28% of their annualized pre-COVID turnover, and only 36% of self-employed nightlife workers have been able to claim the self-employment income support. Actually, that included me as well, because I'm a consultant in hospitality and also a presenter and events guy. So I wasn't covered at all under any of those schemes. And what's really interesting is the fact that hospitality has suffered the most. Hospitality, arts, entertainment have suffered the most. So this is being put forward to government. What's your thoughts about supporting hospitality and actually the effect that it has on city centres and towns in general as well? Peter, we'll start with you if we can, please, my friend.
It's huge. I mean, you cannot underestimate the knock-on effect and impact this is going to have as we come out. For me, the rents still have to be paid, and I can't sit and feeling sorry for people. But people have got mortgages on those properties. They need the rents paid to pay their mortgages. They own the buildings, so I don't want to see kind of city centres go empty. But the government should be putting up that rental support. Where there's no income, they've stopped them coming in. They should support them. They do it for the larger industries. They do it so that people didn't take their industry abroad, and yet they have stopped what, for me. And the other thing that I would want to see that the hospitality get back is all the money they put into making it COVID safe. And when you get it COVID safe, they say, well, you can't go anyway. So they waste all this money in that respect when they're saying you can't go any. And then when they open it up, they're saying you can do it, but it's outdoors. So there are venues who've had to put up these covers and canopies outside. It's all extra cost, and where's it coming from? So I think we will support, and everybody will. It's going to be about kind of local people really rallying round, but the fear factor, it's just going to be months. So they absolutely need the government support, cover that rent, cover some of their lost profits, and in the scheme of what we've done for everybody, for me, they're front and centre. Like you say, they're probably the hardest hit. Those in the travel industry.
Yes, James, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, look, I echo it. I find it really hard that we just can't go, because I'm in a world where if we want a meeting, I'll go to a coffee shop and say, let's go for lunch. And, that's pretty much how the property world works. If it doesn't, then they're doing something wrong in property. So I find it really hard that, I can't just nip out and, go to one of my favorite restaurants or local coffee shops and support them. I think my only worry is coming back out of this, the whole point of getting the vaccine, which all of us agree, get the vaccine,
yes.
Just get out of it. We're not getting out of it still. It's now the goalposts have changed again. And I'm worried that, we'll go back and people will go, you know what, it's still not worth going out. But all support, even though, they're only being drip fed a little bit of support at the moment. My worry is going back that people will still be frightened to go back out, because, we've not been, totally allowed to go out, and, all the restrictions have been lifted.
It's going to be confidence back into people.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult. I think if they bring Help Out to Eat Out back, I think that will help in a massive way. Because you've got to remember, everyone's not just going to go on, let's just take a date, I don't know, 1st of April. I don't know why I've chose April Fool's Day, but 1st of April. It sounds really bad now I've done that. 2nd of April, and everyone's going to go, great, we're going to go out tonight. There's going to be a little hesitation. I think there will then be a bit of a rush, and we'll see a bit of a boom within the hospitality bit. And then I think it'll die down again, because people have got used to cooking at home, having home in a box. And also I think, and this is where I'm a bit controversial here, so don't shoot me down, well, you can do if you want, is I also think some places are going to have to up their game, because I think people are going to go out and they're going to expect an experience and something a bit different, with what's happened. And I think that's where, restaurant owners and hospitality venues have got to think maybe a little bit more outside the box to what they would normally do to attract that crowd to come to them.
And I completely agree with you. And I think entertainment experience is going to be, it is. It's going to be the key thing, and it should be a driver of any hospitality business anyway, because people are coming out to spend their hard-earned cash, and they want to be indulged. And there's a lot of places that before COVID needed to pull their socks up around service. There's a lot of great places out there, but there's also some poor service.
Can I just say we have breaking news. I know hospitality is really important.
Yes, I saw.
Look at this.
The question we asked while we've been on, the Queen has stripped Harry and Meghan of all their titles. Well, wasn't that happening anyway? Didn't they agree to that?
I think when they came back and said we're definitely not returning to royal duties, I think they just give the Queen no choice. That's immediately like, what choice have you got? You're no longer following the royal kind of direction.
Yes.
Doing your own thing. So do your own thing. I just hope that the consequences match their actions, so that, that they think they're kind of the best of both worlds. I hope that the consequences of this mean that they don't get all the best of what they thought they were getting.
But the reality is, won't Prince Harry will always be Prince Harry, won't he?
Yeah.
Well, I reckon what we'll see within the next probably 5 to 10 years is the biggest divorce in history being played out all over the media.
I'd like to think not.
Oh yeah, come on! Everyone would watch that on TV.
I'd like to believe in the fairy tale wedding and the happy ever after for them.
I think if they've gone through this, then if this hasn't broken them up, this will keep them together. I
reckon they're too greedy, and I reckon money will break them.
Well, she already had loads of money, and so did he.
Yeah.
She obviously wants
fame. They both had money. They both had fame. And actually, I think both of them would give it up if the choice were that. Well, I think they give up the fame, maybe not the money.
Well, wasn't Prince Charles still going to be paying Harry his allowance anyway? Isn't it something like, I can't remember, like £3 or £5 million a year?
Well, look, I love how you say allowance as though it's like a few quid, isn't it?
Yeah, it was £5 a week in my day. But
I was gonna say, can you not say that allowance in front of my kids?
Oh,
you know what? In the big scheme of it all, can I just say, in the big scheme of it all, who gives a shit? Because it's never going to affect any of our lives. And if they don't want to be part of our great place, then they can do one. And that's where I exactly stand on it.
Do you know what? I just say it's none of our business, and I think best to look. Well, saying that, I say it's none of our business. Obviously, part of the royal family is, because I'm like you, Peter, that I'm very pro, and I love the fact that we've got a royal family and a royal history. And there's a lot of people want to knock it these days, but it's good for our country. It's been here for a long time. It's great for tourism. It brings in, a lot of people talk about how much money is spent on the royal family, but what it brings into this country far exceeds what is spent on it, which is good for tourism, leisure, and hospitality, funny enough.
Yeah, okay. In general, all right, I agree. There's obviously a few more controversial kind of stories out there with other royal family members, but that's another day.
Well, the only hospitality places that are not going to benefit now are Harry not being here in the nightclubs in London. But if we're looking forward, right? So, Mr. Higgs, obviously.
Before we go, Jay, I was just going to pick up on Peter's one actually, and I think out of all the stories to do with the royal family, that is exactly the story that people should be focused on and what's happening with that. And
like swept under the carpet, hasn't it?
Yeah, he lied on national television.
Yeah,
Prince Andrew barefaced lied, dug himself into a bigger hole. Everybody was absolutely amazed by it, and then has still not delivered to the FBI in the States. So,
well, Pizza Express may have.
Did you say Pizza Express?
bad joke, but let's go now. So obviously we've talked about BNI obviously being really good. So you obviously have a lot of competition in the Midlands now with networking groups. So which one do you hate the most?
I don't hate any. In fact, quite the opposite. I'm trying to get most of them to realise that collaboration is the way forward.
Yeah.
So my background was corporate world, but actually in retail. And one of the biggest things that's been talked about for the last 2 decades is collaboration. But every time it's talked about in the retail world, they can't agree to collaborate without being the top dog.
Yeah.
That's the biggest annoyance for me. So, for instance, on Monday, we're doing a networking day. We've partnered with the Pathways Group, who do chutney and a chat and coffee and a natter and the Festival of Enterprise. And we said, guys, we want to do this together. And actually, I've just been on Paul Spicer's events group at 2:00. He was kind enough to invite me to do a little kind of chat on there. And anybody doing any events work and stuff like that, and hospitality, get on there as well. We're stronger together than we are alone. And that for me, the message is simple across all of it: collaboration every time. So I challenge you. I'd never say that, James, and you should know me better, but also kind of, I don't hate anybody. And I think if anything, we're the hated ones, but, we're there to be knocked down. But also we did that because of our past. We took that. And I've, when we were small, when we first started out, we were knocking on doors and saying, we want to work with you. And these guys were like, no, you're too small for us. Now.
Well,
I want to make sure it doesn't happen the other way around.
Well, let's rephrase it the other way then. So why do you think B&I can be hated? Because a lot of, if you look on the internet, you'll see, is it a cult? Is it a religion? And things like that. So if businesses are generating so much business from B&I, especially in the West Midlands, that I am proud to be part of, but you do hear all this. So, why do you think it has that stigma of being hated when businesses are doing so well in it?
I think, if I'm honest, in the past, that there was so many rules, people followed the rules without seeing what rules were meant to do. So when rules are often put in place, that the intended answer is X, but people got so focused on the rules, they didn't focus on the X, if you like. Yeah. So we refocused all that. So look, throw the rule book out, and what is it intended to do? It's intended to help our members get more business and work together better. And, there are some rules in place that are actually, sacrosanct in the sense of, like, the way we treat each other. And that way, if you're the one that's going to mistreat somebody, well, I'm sorry, that's not for you. You're not for us. That's fine. But for me, other than that, rules are there for the end game as opposed to the rule itself. So we kind of threw the rule book out and said, guys, just treat each other as you want to be treated. You won't go far wrong.
I've got a question to this is normally James asking random questions, but if somebody's not right for you, have you ever had it where you've literally thrown them out? They're no longer suitable. You do not serve us.
Yeah, I'm afraid we have. We've had a few recently. So one of the things we've done is, we follow a code of ethics and our core values behind me. And actually part of that is to try and get people to work together. But we had somebody recently who's been done for fraud. He's defrauded several people, kind of thing. And actually we just said, I'm sorry, this isn't going to work for you. He fell on his sword, if you like, and left, but is still trying to cause problems. But we had 5 or 6 complaints. Being a member of any organization isn't a prerequisite to being a good person. We've got to find that out by the fact that we meet weekly. Over a period of time, you gather a picture of somebody, and it's very hard to falsify week in, week out on every action you do. So that's why, for me, it works. It's over time. You get to know people properly. You build a relationship. And won't be tied anybody in any network in that just assumes you're instantly brilliant because you're in the same network. Well,
I guess the thing there is if you want to stand up and be part of a networking group where you're working to support people and they're supporting you, at least try and have a decent reputation in your own business.
Yeah, but they say reputation's what others think of you when you're not there. It's not when you're front and center. It's kind of, you've got to step away and people have your back, and you build that over time. Like James said, it's not instant, but we've got businesses now picking up 50 grand kind of thing. It was one just picked up a £6 million contract. Some huge figures out there, but it takes time to build that. It's not literally I joined so I instantly get loads of business. It's you got to give before you receive, and I think if you take that attitude, you don't go far wrong.
Please don't start Phil off with give before you receive, Pete, please.
Listen, I'd rather have a cup of tea or a whiskey these days.
No, it's a nice way to live. But I go back to the collaboration and whatever else, and I think that even if I just stop now and say forget it, kind of where we were, clean slate, let's all work together. And as I say, we're trying to do that. Networking down Monday, going to promoting Paul's stuff, and if you're in events, please get along to Paul Spicer's. He's got a good team of people, 300 odd events and hospitality industry, and it was a great event. So I just think you can go to more than one, and if it helps you get business, then fantastic.
What would be the let's word James's question differently. What would be the worst type of networking event that you would try and avoid going to?
Ooh. The ones that slag others off. That and they're out there. I'm not going to name names, but they're out there. You find out for yourself. But if you have to slag off the competition, there's something dramatically wrong with your business. And that goes for every walk of life. It's not just networking. If you're slagging people off, then really are those the people that you want to work with and take the time to be with. And that's behind closed doors or kind of publicly. And there are other networks that just slag everybody off and say, we're the best. And, that's not people you want to work with. So I think I go back to that collaboration. And, You know, there are also, I tell this story, I told this morning, this was back before I started networking. I walked into an event and this lady turned around to me and said, "What is it you do?" And I said, "I help small businesses grow." And she went, "Oh, you're no good for me." And she physically put a hand up to my face and went, "You're no good for me." And walked off. And I just went, "Okay, well, what the hell?" And she went around the room and there's somebody else I knew over and she said, "So this room's no good for me. I need corporates. I need big businesses." I said, "Well, have you spoke to Pete?" And I said, "Why would I speak to him? He's like small businesses." And no, his background is corporate. He deals with all the retailers across the UK on a corporate level, you know. Oh, I need to speak to him then. And she went back to me, she went, "I think we need to talk." And I was so polite. I didn't go, no. I just said, "I don't think so."
I can think of a couple of people that would probably fit into the character of that person that came around and done that, to be fair.
So the way I say is the worst thing you can do in networking is sell.
Yes.
So don't sell at people. And the way I say is it's like dating. You wouldn't go on the first date and tell somebody you love them. It would be creepy. And that's the same as selling at networking. Yeah, it would. Stop it. Stop it.
It depends what you're after.
Yeah, and you see whether you get anything. Yeah.
I don't do dating, not for a long time.
Cold shoulder, yeah. No, but it's creepy, isn't it? So,
James, you've obviously been with BNI for a while. Has it made much business for you?
It's done all right, yeah. It's done all right, but yeah, no, it's done well. You know, I've given a lot more than what I've received, which is again. But on a return on investment, I think it's been great. But it's not always about the return on investment as well. It's also about the support and advice that you can get as well. Because I think a lot of people can look at networking and it's all about just getting the money out. You know, like I said, but enjoying them all about the deal. You know, and again, you just get the deal and then that's it, move on to the next one. But actually, sometimes you need advice or you need direction or you need that bit more of assistance. And, you know, what I've been able to get is a bigger pot of people I can actually speak to where we all respect each other and you can pick up the phone and say, "Look, thinking of doing this, what do you think? Would it work? Would it not?" You know, and you know, it's little things like that that actually can mean more than actually the return. But at the same point, look, you do join networking groups to build your business up, and a lot of that is based on the income that you're bringing in. And I wouldn't be sticking at it if I wasn't earning income. I would definitely move on. But then I would have to look at it and go, is that myself to blame? Because I'm not getting anything out of it. And like I said, you've got to, if you put the effort in and you plan and you prepare, and look, I could read all the stuff out, you know, that's behind Pete there and stuff. Not all of it I personally take full attention of, you know, from that. But I think you've just got to come across as yourself. And I think the key one is what Pete said, is don't sell. You know, and I think even up to a couple of months, trying to sell more, and I didn't realize I was doing it. I just got caught into my normal day-to-day side of it and not to take a step back and go, well, this is why I can help somebody and why I need to speak to them. But I was just trying to promote myself more. And actually, when I've gone back to saying why I can help people, I've been given more referrals, which is then actually related into a lot more business. And I think look, Tom Street's just picked up a great thing here.
Yeah,
is doing great work for charity as well, and it's really made me do more and more. You know, coming out for doing it. I don't think everyone in Sunrise appreciates getting a fine every week for going over 60 seconds or anything. It's really great for his charity, but you know, at the same point, you know, that's what we do it for. You know, it's you know, we love to raise
your business from property to an art investor as well now, haven't you? So
say that again. My internet's really playing up now.
You've transitioned your business from a property investor to an art investor now, haven't you?
I have. Listen, if you can make money from anything, I'll sell it. So it's you know, look, all the locksmiths around the area, I can give you all these for free if you want them. So there you go. Can get them.
One of the other great things about BNI was the fact that you can swap chapters, can't you? Or you can go and be a guest at other chapters and you can stand in for others, so you get to expand your network further.
Yeah, so
can I just say, Pete, before you give the official answer, this is not a dating show. This is not where you go off and swing in different chapters here.
Get your keys out. Get your keys. No.
Look, all the keys there. Look, get them in.
So yeah, you can. So it's strange actually, because for a few years ago, a lot of the regions in BNI wouldn't allow you to go to other BNI groups. You had to stay in your little pocket, if you like. You had a category and you had, But we've really encouraged it, and it's been the making of the region. So we're very, again, going back to that collaboration, we're much more powerful together. So yeah, we kind of say, look, if your category is not taken, be respectful of the other groups. If somebody's in doing what you do, speak to them, but actually go to other groups. And you get this reach kind of thing. We've got 3 jewelers in the region, and they're welcome to go around all the other chapters now because they've gone around other chapters. They're now well known across the whole region, across the Midlands, not just their little pocket of people. So it's about reach. It's
nice question here from Edwin Ladd, actually, and he says, "How do you decide when an area needs a new chapter or when a new one should be set up?"
So an area always needs a new chapter. So that's the no. It's very much about our category. So where we have a financial advisor, an accountant, an insurance company, a web designer, for instance, in the groups around that area, and there are other people knocking on the door and saying, "Guys, well, how do I get into this?" And they can't because those categories are taken. So it's purely down to that. When there's as we want to give everybody the opportunity to be a part of BNI. And we build a group around the people where those categories are already taken. But also people buy from people, and the people that come into this are usually from people they already know. So so James, I think, or Jimmy came in because of James, because they knew each other. Has come along to this, probably heard of it anyway, but visited and joined. So join because of the people you know in that group. And when a new group starts, they know different people. So they come, to bring their connections in. If everybody knows one person and they all bring somebody together, then there's a new group set up.
I'll tell you why Jimmy joined, because it's quite interesting. Because a lot of obviously Jimmy, and a lot of people do know Jimmy around obviously Birmingham because he's very obviously unique in the networking field. But no one that some geezer who says he's good at SEO and stuff. But apart from that, he's. It was interesting because we got chatting about it, and I said, "Look, you've got to join. It's as simple as that." And he went, "Okay." And he went, but no one had actually told him to join. Everyone had skirted around it. And sometimes I think it was interesting when he said that, because he went, when you're given so many different opportunities, which a lot of people will be in the area, sometimes you just need that person to go, "Look, you need to join because this is the reason," and you will do well out of it as long as you do X, Y, Z. Rather than skirt around it. And other times, some people need that nurturing to come through. So I think it is, you've got to look at it on different people of how they react and sometimes what they need all the time.
I love the fact there's business advice available for people, and you can speak to different businesses, whether it be lawyers or accountants or event people or marketeers. And do you think in the news, Uber could have really done with some business advice around their employment scheme?
I think Uber shouldn't have tried to circumvent the bare minimum that every other company has to adhere to. So I think it's their own fault, and they were silly trying to circumvent it in the first place.
So I disagree. I think Uber drivers have probably just cost themselves their own livelihoods. So I think it's an interesting concept, and I went, but I use Uber all the time because it's convenient, it's easy. I think it is relatively safe that you can track it. And now I would love to, if I could use a local cab place and do it, great, but it's not the same technology. But I do think that this is actually a bigger issue because there's people in the property industry who do exactly the same. They've set the price. They have self-employed agents out there who have to go out, and then they do not get a wage from the company. They don't get holiday pay or anything. So you can look at it in 2 different ways here. This could be great because it'll filter down, and employees now will be more protected, or self-employed people as part of a company can be more protected. But as consumers, that will push the price up. And consumers don't always want to pay the extra price and things.
No, but if we go down to price rather than the value and the people, then we're in a sticky wicket anyway. So
I totally agree. But the property industry, for example, is probably the most prominent industry for this, because, for example, we will charge 1.25% plus VAT for our services. I will not be involved in it unless I'm at 2% myself, because I know my worth and what I will give and what I will do. People say it's arrogant. It's not. It's just confident. If you want the best, then you've got to be prepared to pay to have it at the same time. If you want my marketing ideas, it all costs money. I'm not going to do it for free. So obviously it needs to be relatively paid for. But on the same point, I know I've got staff going out to opportunities at the moment, valuations, and they'll go, look, we'll drop the fees slightly. We don't really want to do it because of everything we give. But then the clients can go out and go, yeah, you're matching another leading agent, for example, but they've even gone further. And the way the property industry's twisted is gone, we will only charge now a set fee. And it's not even 0.5% of the property. Now, as a business, I'm very confident on it. And I actually turn around to my staff and say, just walk out, and just say, you know what, go with the other company. It's actually not worth it.
So this is really interesting, but for me, very pertinent to what we do in kind of BNI is that you said it earlier, know your worth, but also know the value. Yes. People don't care about the price if they get the value. So what often they're trying to compare these apples and pears and people are hoodwinking them, but if they absolutely know the value, then nobody cares about the price. And I'll give you a prime example. It's a different level, I know, but I was in the corporate world and negotiated a contract with Aldi, and it was worth 45 million. And we won the contract, and I'm there to sign the contract. And he said, you were £200,000 or £400,000 more expensive than your competitor. He said, but I'd never go anywhere else because of our relationship. And I said, all right, we'll split the difference, 200,000. He said, are you an idiot? I've just told you you've got the contract. I said, yeah. You know what? In 45 million, 200,000 is a small percentage. So, you can go back and you've negotiated harder. And you know what? You and I can continue this relationship thereafter. Within 6 months, we got another £6 million worth of business because we do the right thing by the client. They saw the value in working with us. Then, do you know what? The price is immaterial thereafter when they see that value. So I just think you've got to get people to see the value of working with you, and then price doesn't become an option. And competitors are gone because the value is there. It's never about the price. We're probably the most expensive networking around. But you know what? It's because you get people who are absolutely committed to it, and that's the value. So you want to be in a room with committed people, not half-hearted people. And that's why we push it. So can I just answer a question? Because Edwin's just said, I'm going to call him Eddie.
I was going to come on to that. I was going to say...
I'll call him Eddie. Sorry, Edwin. That's his new nickname now. Sorry, Eddie. Eddie, should you stay in the same chapter or move? So James moved. We encourage people to stay where you are. The deeper the relationships, over the longer term, the better the business, because people... I'll get to that point where they go, you know what, I wouldn't go anywhere else because of the relationship. So that's what I just said earlier in terms of that story, but it's all about the relationship. So if you get that right, sorry, David. So if you get that right, it's worth its weight in gold. So when you move, you have to start again. And there's if anybody's ever read the books or CDs, etc., listen to the CDs from the 5 levels of leadership. And it's about kind of, you can get position, but you've got to get the relationships next. So every time you move, you keep the position, if you like, but you have to start the relationships from scratch and build again. And that takes time. So I would encourage you always to stick with it. If you want to change your business, change what you're aiming for, but stick with the relationships. People look out for each other. It's people buy from people, nothing to do with what you do.
Yeah, I was going to relate to that. That just made me think of a management technique, which is forming, storming, norming, and performing.
Yeah.
Do you remember that one? Which is when you first change and you build that relationship, and then sometimes you'll clash with people as you're finding out about each other. Then you all start to understand each other and level out. And then actually that's when you all start performing together and achieving things. And that comes with that time, that collaborative energy of understanding and sharing knowledge.
Can I insert a bit of fun there? So not all corporate analogies are great, because we had a company where they came in and said, we're going to do a cost reduction action plan, and they put it up on the board and the acronym came up and they go, yeah, we're going to rethink that one. CRA.
But also, just to add on to now my great internet to come back into force, to answer Edwin's question, what he doesn't actually know is I was going to join Sunrise, but the seat was already taken. So I wasn't allowed it, but I was already doing business with most of the Sunrise members. So I had to wait before I could move.
Yeah, I can understand that.
I don't know why he's even asking the question. He loves Sunrise and they love him. So, It's an odd one. I'd be interested to know why.
Peter, what makes you want to get up in the day? You know, given outside of COVID, what makes you want to get up in the day and continue doing what you do with BNI?
So this is an odd one. So I left the corporate world because we won that contract I was talking about for a company that I work for, and the CEO said, "Oh, I think you were lucky with that, Pete. How dare you? You know." I went to the competition. That was like an ex-girlfriend. It's not you, love. It's me. I've changed.
Yes.
So I kind of took a bit of time out and said, what do I really want to do? So I kind of knew, and you know, you get to a stage in life where you kind of go, I just want to do what I enjoy. And sometimes you're in that path in early life in a corporate career, you're earning good money. So you're almost tied to it, aren't you?
Yeah.
So I kind of said, what do I enjoy? And I do a little bit of a networking thing on this. What's your drug of choice? So if you were to, the brain releases kind of 6 chemicals of drugs that give you a certain feeling. So you got adrenaline, for instance, you know, get adrenaline from an activity or, you know, going down a high wire, etc. You would get serotonin from giving and helping others. You would get dopamine if you booked a holiday and you suddenly got really excited. I've got something to look forward to, so on and so forth. So you look at all these drugs, and actually mine I found was, and I've just through learning some psychology stuff, was actually serotonin. So the giver's gain is ideal for that. So when you help somebody else, you get that release of kind of feel good factor, they call it. And it's the same with, you know, if you drive a nice car, it's not always about showing other people you drive a nice car. Sometimes it's about you really enjoy that. Yeah. So if you enjoy it, that gives you the satisfaction every single day, not the dopamine. I've got to look forward to something. So I think for me, somebody asked me the other day, kind of, how do you get your release, if you like? So every day I go home knowing I've helped somebody do something or make something better. And I love it. I genuinely do. It's become a way of life. And our founder, Ivan, says this a lot. And I know Ivan quite well. And he genuinely got to the point where you live and breathe it, to the point where, you know, you just enjoy it. And you get that release every day of trying to help somebody.
Can I just say, though, because I picked up on one thing, but you do have a nice car, though.
Yeah, no, because it gives me that release of serotonin. So that's what I'm saying. So I don't sit there with photos of my car every day saying, this is what I drive, look at me. It's not about other people saying, oh, you know, he's important because he drives a nice car. It's about genuinely, I get that enjoyment. I know a few people in Sunrise well have very nice cars, and actually they were the same. It's almost like that's why I get up every day. I enjoy that, and it gives me a satisfaction. And I think that's kind of, you know, I'm very lucky. I know that, but I've had nicer cars in the past. The reality, you know, before I bought BNI, I had an Aston Martin DB9 convertible, you know, and then I kind of bought BNI. So,
for the car ones who are watching now, let's ask this ultimate question: electric, is it Tesla or Porsche?
Who did Porsche do electric? Oh, okay.
I think it goes about 30 miles.
There's your answer.
Yeah, dear me. Silly question there, James, but you know.
So the last 12 months, COVID has seen a big shift. Obviously, networking being a key one, because networking is all about spending that time together, being face to face. How has BNI adapted with COVID going online? Obviously, you've still got the same communities, people within the groups, but a lot of people now are talking about being zoomed out or teamed out of meetings. So how have you found the chapters just keeping the momentum and keeping that energy going?
Yeah, it's strange actually, because I was on a call just yesterday where a lady said to me, she said, I genuinely thought this won't work online, but I can actually feel the camaraderie and the love through the screen. It almost comes out of the screen at you. You can feel people's personalities. So I go back to what I said, the passion you have to give off. I met a friend who I haven't met for a few years at an event pre-COVID. And he said, what are you up to now? And I told him. And as I started telling him, he goes, you really love this, don't you? I went, yeah, I do. And you can see people's passion for it. So I think that's the key, is when people are passionate about their business, get it through. you know what? You don't need to be face to face. I get the zoomed out, I get the on screen, but I go back to we all moan about it, but we are where we are. So we make the most of it, or we can sit there and get miserable. And I think most of the people, and having somebody around you to pick you up when you're in that downtime, because everybody has it, is lovely, because you've got the and we call it, you know, in ours, BNI family, but it is like a BNI family. You'd be very, very surprised at the amount of things that people have done for one another that go above and beyond. I mean, way above and beyond. You know, thousands of pounds passed hands that not pay, just help, and it's lovely.
So coming out of COVID, not out of BNI. You've got too much invested in there in time and energy. Coming out of COVID, what are you really looking forward to?
Do you know, that's a really good question, because I think I was saying actually only last week, I miss the simplest things, as well as the holiday. And Ushma's on here, and you know, I absolutely think people are going, I'm going to travel because I might not get the opportunity again. But I do honestly think that will be very slow to come back to, because where we are in the UK might be very different to where other countries are. So it's finding those special kind of things, which I know Ushma's very good at. But for me, it's just the everyday stuff. It's just traveling. You know, I watched something on TV the other day. It's really lovely just to pop there, and you can't at the moment.
Yeah.
So just traveling, getting to different places. So I missed my 40th birthday because of the ash cloud that came. I was going to Vegas for my 40th, and the ash cloud came over. I couldn't travel. And the 50th was last year, and we had COVID. I couldn't travel again. So watch out in 2030. Just don't book anything. You know.
When was it, Peter? When were you celebrating? April. Yeah, mine was October, and I was supposed to be going around Machu Picchu, and you know just got in. But I just think the same as you. You know, there'll be an opportunity to do it at some point and experience something nice.
So I think travel, and I think people will. I genuinely think people will go mad for it, but it will be a slow build. And I just hope, like the hospitality, the travel industry can recover and stick around long enough to get that recovery. But I think there'll be a lot more of traveling. I also think locally, you know, last year during the lower end lockdown, we were allowed to travel in the UK. I went to Scotland, and that was lovely. And actually, you don't realise quite what's on your doorstep until you have to, if you like. So some local trips, just traveling. You know, just going to London. You know, I used to go to London for a West End show and drinks and an overnight stay, and you know, being able to do that again, be lovely.
Well, look, even better.
Go on, James. Sorry.
Even better, you can travel to Birmingham when we come out of lockdown.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, do you know, it's interesting you say that, because one of the key things I was looking forward to last year was the Hippodrome celebrating their birthday, and the lineup of shows that the Birmingham Hippodrome had on were all leading West End shows, like back to back to back to back. And we were so excited. And the first one, the key one, was Book of Mormon. And obviously Book of Mormon got closed down halfway through when everything got closed down. And we got to go to the press evening, which was incredible. But then all of these amazing shows got cancelled. So I'm hoping at some point we start to get them all back again. But I'm with you, Peter. You know, go and see a live show, travel down to London or something like that.
But I spoke to a friend earlier and said, actually, just going to the pub, you take, you know, it's amazing, I think, what we've taken for granted, but it's also amazing what we maybe thought a lot of before and don't think anything of now. So I think, James, you've probably seen it with a lot of people moving out to the city, wanting a garden, wanting a bit more in their house. I was going to ask the question at the very start, so I'll ask it now. Have you seen a move in the industry to larger kitchens? Because I think a lot of people want, you know, that social feel in their kitchen. So the kitchen's the center point where it's big enough to have people in and have a chat while they're doing stuff.
Yeah, yeah, it's a great question, and I think this is one of the worries I think I have going forward. I think what people have learned is to spend more time with people, and actually entertaining at home will get better and better. So I think this home in a box, etc., that's coming out in some restaurants, it's going to evolve more. I can see chefs coming into people's houses. Honestly, where 4 or 5 people will have that, the friends round would rather, come to somebody's house and get the chef to come and cook for them and bring the food. And I think that's going to be a big future going forward, because people will be prepared to spend money. So it's like what I said earlier, people have saved up money during this. There is a winner out of this as well as the bad things. And I think hospitality will bounce back in the right way, but people have got to be prepared to sort of think outside the box slightly. Because I think, yes, people will go to restaurants, but as we discussed with the great chef we had on a few weeks ago, Andy, he was very similar that, there's always going to be the likes of your Toby Carveries of the world, because that's like Primark in a way, is his words. Yes. I love a Toby Carvery. I don't like Primark. But on the other side...
You excited for it last week, didn't you? A week before, was it?
Yeah. I also think on the other side that people are going to want to go to really, really nice restaurants. And I think people who have not been able to do it before are going to be prepared to save to go to it and have that experience. And I just think now that people have bought new houses, they've had kitchen refits while all this has gone on, they've had bars built in the back garden, they've gone for it. The actual refurbishment of houses has gone really, really well. And I really do think that this is going to be a new trend, that people will have chefs coming to people's houses and cooking, because it's actually not going to be that costly.
I've actually got 2 add-ons to that, actually, because apartments in the city now, obviously I live just opposite the town hall, and a lot of the new developments that are going up have got this shared communal space downstairs, lounge areas. Some are adding kitchens to them as well. So these smaller apartments can all use this space and bring more people together. And I think that's going to be more of an expansion as we see buildings and private properties progress in the city. But another part to that was the fact that, I can't remember what it was. Peter, what was you going to say?
Well, 2 things, I guess. The other thing I kind of, while you were talking, is like, the thing I miss, I haven't hugged my parents for probably 12 months.
Yeah.
And I kind of like, you take it for granted. I'm quite a tactile person, and just giving them a hug. And I mean, we're very lucky. My parents are with us, and it's kind of, just the simple things in life is what you miss the most. And I think, James, you're right in where we are, but as soon as we have the choice, will that still be the same? And that's the thing where I was talking to somebody earlier, is that stop looking back and saying we're going to have what we had. We'll never have what we had. Start looking forward and say what will what we have be like, and how do we want it to be? So I just implore people to think about what their life is, what's really important. And I think that's given us time to think what is actually really important in our life. And actually the house, the car, the kind of peripheral things aren't. They're nice to have, but they're not important. Family is what's important. Health is what's the most important, top of the list. Family, like I said, fun and enjoyment of what you do, and then the rest is nice to have.
And that's spot on. I completely agree. Interestingly, we're going through this change, and it is another shift. And I agree with you. Things will never be the same. But coming from a hospitality background, I remember the millennium. You remember millennium going from 1999 into 2000?
Just about.
All the computers were going to crash, and planes were going to drop out the sky, and trains were going to stop working. And New Year's Eve was probably one of the worst New Year's Eves in the city. Now, I had a club that was pretty busy, and we were bigger than a lot of the big PLCs for an independent. But that changed the way that people socialise, and suddenly a lot more people started doing house parties for following years and years after. A lot more people now do parties at home instead of going out, and that has grown. And I think the connection around COVID and what you were just saying, Peter, is that people are appreciating each other more. And yes, there'll be the fine dining out and having the nice places, but I also think a lot more time with friends, loved ones, or walking out the park is going to be the new go-to.
Yeah, there's been a few of those house parties the last few weeks, hasn't there, unfortunately?
We've seen, yeah.
I don't know, Peter wasn't invited to yours.
Yeah, no, not at mine, mate. No, very careful. My daughter's working on the front line, so very careful. Bless her, she's doing an amazing job. I
was gutted, actually, because you comment about not seeing parents and family. my parents live in Brixham in South Devon, and we were due to see them Christmas. We're due to drive down Boxing Day for 3 days. And then obviously they pulled the plug, didn't they? The government did, after we'd made all these plans. So I haven't seen them for a year now. And, you know, they're not getting any younger like me. And, you know, it's really important, isn't it? Family, the opportunity. You just feel for all those that have lost loved ones and family and wasn't able to see them in hospital because of COVID.
Yeah, and it's like, so I was asked to be a godfather by my brother for his newborn child, and that was when we went literally into lockdown. It was when I was expecting Newcastle to beat Aston Villa in the football at St James's Park. But yeah, never got to do it. I haven't seen them obviously for over a year, so obviously I've got my little godchild growing up, and all I see is pictures, you know. So it is, you know, the first thing I want to do is be able to get. They live in Denmark, so it's going to be interesting that even when we come out of this, the first thing I want to do is obviously get out there and go and see them, but I might not be able to. So you have that longer wait. But like Pete said earlier, I think, yeah, and that's what I meant. It's, you know, I think it is interesting. People are going to look back to take what's more important, you know, to do. I think if you've got a nice kitchen and you can do it, then even better. But at the same point, I mean, people will want to spend more time, and they'll want to live life rather than work, and enjoy life separately. Life will start to be more important for them.
So that's interesting as well, because we've almost gone a full year now, a whole kind of, you know, 4 seasons in lockdown or of some description of it. And somebody was saying earlier, look, it was easier the first time round because it was kind of the summertime, it was springtime. It's been more difficult this second time, but I wonder whether that will influence people's choices, and has it, James, on property? Has it started to influence future choices?
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, we saw a big shift from people to start to look out into the country more or into the suburban areas. What actually changed after the first lockdown is people want to move back into the city, because people who had gone into the city to self-isolate because of working or whatever the case may be, saw the convenience of living in the city again, and don't have that where they might be, you know, their normal house of residence was. So little things like your Deliveroo, your Uber Eats, things like this that they really lost out on. And of course, that would have an effect on the hospitality that were using it because they get less orders. So we have seen that change. Coming out of this one, we're sort of going back to it where people are going, you know, and I said it from day one, if we're going to be locked down once, we will be locked down again. And that's why I needed to move, obviously, further away from the city, because I wanted to be able to walk down the canal and fields with a dog and, you know, not get stopped or, you know, bump into every Tom, Dick and Harry. But that was a personal choice on mine. Others like to still have that people around them to cope. So I think we will see a big difference to begin with. I think we're going to see a shift out the city slightly. But I think that'll only happen for a couple of years, and then the city life will the problem is with us human beings, we're used to what we're used to. And I think what will happen is after a couple of years, investigations will be looked at, this will be forgotten about, and life will start to go back to how it used to be in a couple of years.
One would hope so. I think we're pretty much, you know, we're social people, aren't we? It's all about community, sharing energy, sharing time. I think the fundamentals of that aren't going to change. The only thing I was asking yesterday, actually, is when we start to get back to normal networking, getting out and about, how many people do you think we'll see still wearing masks because they'll still be concerned? You just know it's going to happen. There'll still be those that are concerned that somebody's going to pass on the virus to them. We'll still be wearing the mask.
I'm going to wear mine. It's all about branding and being nice American, so I've got to go American and all out there.
Oh, well, there you are. B&I face masks.
No, so we were banned from having B&I face masks at the start of the first lockdown because they didn't want networking to be associated with the spread of the virus. And it's kind of, you know, for me, it's I got a gift from a local printer that says, "Oh, I've got you a nice gift, you know, as a B&I face mask." So when I walk down my village, I've got one, but actually outside, I don't wear that because they didn't want it association. But I don't think there'll be that many. I think with the vaccination, the worry for me is, does the vaccination work? Right. And, you know, are there strains or kind of other things? And from what I'm hearing through connections in the health service, etc., they're looking at putting teams in place to look at this ongoing. So to put a position in place and make sure that any future pandemic, etc., is managed better, things like that. So I hope that we've got to this, but also we also worry about the flu for the last 5 years, 10 years, 100 years. It's ongoing. It's going to keep moving.
Yeah, well, that's interesting because obviously they're now talking about the vaccine needing, like the flu jab, needing a top up every year, and that is how you make a multi-billion-dollar industry within 12 months, quicker than Apple.
Yeah, it's going to be phenomenal. It really is. AstraZeneca shares is the one to get into, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or Pfizer, whichever one you kind of want to go with. But yeah, that's the thing. That I go back. That Zoom. So I was over in the States in January last year, prior to the lockdown, deciding about using Zoom as a platform for BNI, and we bought thousands of licenses overnight and transitioned onto Zoom, and I didn't buy any shares in Zoom. How silly!
Oh, wow.
How silly was I? Yeah, you look back. So shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Yeah. Well, that's like going back to cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
I was offered some of them shares for about £1.50 when they first come out, and they're now worth what, £31,000 a share.
I've got some cryptocurrency. Probably another conversation for another day on this.
Another day. No, I think we've been on long enough. I think we also look at wrapping it up. Peter, it's been great chatting to you. Really, really nice to talk business and see a familiar face. I see James's all the time, but great to see another familiar face, one that I haven't seen.
You only see it on a Friday. Let's just clarify that.
James, anything you want to add before we wrap up, my friend?
Unless you want to know next week's guest, I'm all happy.
Oh, are you interested, Peter? Do you want to know?
I am. On who's next week? Drum roll.
Another fine gentleman coming on. Founder, or I think co-publisher, I think the official is, of the Business Insider, owner of the Signature Awards, which I'm a proud winner of. So I always like my little plug now and again. We have the wonderful Ninda Johal coming on next Friday.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, can we, just so he feels at home, can we get him to sit in the middle of his sofa in the middle of the screen?
Bill, we want him to come on Friday. Wait until he comes on and then you can talk about that.
I loved it. It was so unique. I had a great time at that event, and I just remember it's something that I certainly remembered. He certainly made it a memorable event, so I know that'll be great. He's a very successful guy, and we'll look forward to having him on the show next week. Do you think we also look at a lady the week after? Maybe. I know we had the lovely Sharon Thompson last week.
If you would like a lady on, I will work my magic powers to get one of the ladies.
Yay. Oh gosh, there'll be all those ladies watching now thinking, "Oh, that could be me. That could be me."
Yeah, avoiding James. Yeah,
that's fantastic, Peter. Look, absolutely great to have you here chatting, not just about BNI, but everything else. Look, if anybody wants to join BNI, what would be your recommendation? How would they go about doing it?
Go and visit a local group. If you want to contact me or James or anybody in BNI, just go and visit a group. Find one that fits your personality. They're all very different because it's a an amalgamation of the people in the room. And like I said, we've got 28 groups around the Midlands. But going forward, it'll be one local to you if we meet face to face, or if it stays online. There are chapters that are just going to be online from here on in.
Oh wow, really? Yeah.
Yeah, no. So some of the groups have decided that that they would like to stay online for the groups, and then have a one-to-ones where they sit down and have a coffee together, and socials once a month. But they're going to stay online in terms of their weekly meeting because it's just become comfortable.
They can sit there in their shirt or their blouse, but everything
else, an elephant behind them, and whatever,
and pants and slippers.
Yeah, so there's lots of choice. Just contact us or go and visit a local BNI to your area. That's the best.
Amazing, brilliant. Look, really great to have you here, James. Anything from you, my friend?
No, all good. Obviously, if you want to come to the best chapter in the Midlands, then contact myself because obviously I'm the president of that chapter. That's all that needs to be said.
Awesome. Peter Higgs, BNI, thank you very much. James Forrester, as ever, it's been a pleasure to host Real, Random and Raw. I'm Phil Oldershaw. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We'll be back with you next week for Real, Random and Raw, 5:30, same place. Invite your friends. Grab yourself a drink. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers, everyone. I can't do it. I've got an empty glass and it's not allowed.
Shocking.
Perfect time to finish, eh?
Exactly. Cheers, everyone.